Jake Kreul has committed to Oklahoma, giving OU 16 commitments in his 2026 class, and a very important one on a very important day. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year-round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Jake Kreul's commitment will stick with Oklahoma, given the pivotal year that 2025 is? But before we get to that, let's talk about the IMG Academy edge rusher who is maniacal off the line of scrimmage, has an outstanding get off, and is terror once he gets to a second phase. Like, this is the thing that I love most about watching Jake Kreul tape is, yeah, he's got that explosive first step, and he is absolutely punching guys in the chest, and they're taking steps back. But he's also got a move or two that is just as brash and just as swift. I've seen him go up, I've seen him go under, and I've seen him go around. What's more cool about this is he understands angles and he understands geometry. He understands how his body moves in space, his proprioception. He can really change levels at a surprising rate. Like, I'm watching him get absolutely outstanding bend and be able to keep his balance because he is so powerful, because he can push his body in that direction at a slight 45. And, well, there's nothing like a slight 45, at a 45-degree angle and still get back upfield to the quarterback. Taking the long way around has always been a bugaboo for me. Like, I really don't enjoy watching edge rushers, outside linebackers, and defensive ends do the circle when you could just run back through, right? Plant your foot, get back upfield, and get your hands on that quarterback, get your hands on that ball. Jake Kreul does this intuitively. It's a really great win for Oklahoma. It's a huge win for Miguel Chavis, who coaches that defensive end room, and more for Oklahoma fans at a time when John Mateer's name is in the headlines for the wrong reasons, when Oklahoma is looking at having to run a gauntlet of a schedule with something like, I believe, 5 AP top 25 teams on the schedule in a row, to say nothing of having to play one of the more challenging seasons in Oklahoma history. You needed to have a guy like this join up. So this is the biggest get for Oklahoma since Bo Bentley decided that he was going to go in with OU. But I think, given the future of the program is not assured, given that Oklahoma's having to answer questions about just how good it's going to be in the future after a, well, really depressing first season in the SEC, still being able to convince a guy like Jake Kreul, who's down to OU in Texas, that this place, the 6-7 school, is the one to be at, as opposed to the one that played in the SEC championship game and has made the college football playoff the last 2 years and feels like the next Alabama. That is the strength of the pitch. That is what Jim Nagy's doing. That is what Brent Venables is doing. That is what Miguel Chavis is doing. And it went down to the wire as Kreul announced what he was going to do August 12th. Now, you got to keep him in the boat. Like, there's no such thing as a commitment in the name, image, and likeness era. There just isn't. You can't assure this, even when the guy signs, that he's going to stick with you for even the year. The portal opens up in December. The portal opens up in April, May. And then we get to playing football, and the only thing that is assured is if guys aren't injured, they're going to be on your roster, and you have an opportunity to get off to a really great start. It's never been more important for Oklahoma as the stakes continue to raise. There are people that already believe that Brent Venables could be the first guy out as a Power 4 coach. He and Sam Pittman have the best odds to be fired, according to Bet Online, who partners with Adapt and Respond. And I don't think that is because someone somewhere decided that these two coaches are the worst of the Power 4. It's more like this is the public's expectation. Time is running out on how people feel about what's going on in Oklahoma in Norman, especially if you have grown up in an era of absolute excellence, if not dominance. Oklahoma, for 20 years, had 18 10-win seasons or better. Oklahoma had nearly a quarter century without a losing season. Oklahoma had not had a 6-7 season since 1997, and then they've got 2 losing seasons in the last 3 years and a 22-17 overall record for Brent Venables. But he has left no stone unturned. He has brought in John Mateer, who we still expect will be the starter week 1, who's got over 3,900 yards of offense, 44 total TDs just last year at Wazoo. a bright young mind in Ben Arbuckle to run the offense that everybody wants to tell you reminds them of a young Lincoln Riley. He's calling the defense once again. He's got another head coach at linebacker. He's got Wes Goodwin at linebacker. He's got Todd Bates at that defensive tackles, Miguel Chavis, those defensive ends. If they can nail the offense, if you can get just a little bit out of Isaiah Satanga, a lot out of Deion Burks, you get a run game going with Javonte Barnes and Jaden Ott. You've got an offensive line that returns a bunch of starts and has a bunch of experience. Now it's about Bill Bedenbaugh getting to gel them together. You can make this happen. Like, I do believe that every game on Oklahoma's schedule is winnable, but it is a tough schedule, and it's going to test them week in and week out. And the thing that I've come to really recognize about when we start playing games, it's really who has a second and third guy on their depth chart that is just as good as the guy that might have the starts. If you can plug and play when guys get hurt, you have an opportunity to win championships. I look at Ohio State as an example here. People wanted to talk ad nauseum, myself included, about the $20 million they spent on the roster. But you saw what they were actually spending the money on when guys got hurt, right? When they lost 3 offensive linemen, basically the left side of their offensive line, they plugged and played at center, at guard, and at left tackle, and they won the national championship, right? They have guys at tailback that really could step up and play if they needed. You could rotate in at wide receiver. You could platoon in at defensive line. That's what Tennessee did that made them so great last year. They could platoon at defensive line. They were just going to come after you. They had a very durable tailback in Dylan Sampson. When they thought the offense was going to be built around throwing the football, they were able to pivot to go, no, we're going to have a solid rushing attack. We'll max protect for Nico, and we'll let the defense go do its job. Finding out who your identity is going to be, or what your identity is going to be early in this season, and then sticking to that, play to your strengths. That is what Oklahoma is going to have to do if it wants to make the college football playoff. And that's what's going to have to happen. Oklahoma's going to need to win 10 games to ensure that Brent Venables gets to coach again in 2026. I love me some Brent Venables. I don't want to see the guy leave. I think he fits for the program. But the only thing that saves your job is continuing to win. Even Joe Constiglione, who has announced that he is retiring at the end of this year, saying, look, we're going to be fine. We're going to be great. Nobody needs to worry about what Oklahoma's going to do. And I'm going, all right, big dog, but you're getting up out of that chair. You know, and that triumvirate, that was David Bourne, that was Bob Stoops, and that was Constiglione, one of the best president, athletic director, head coach triangles that we've ever seen. They did such great things, and they set the standard where it is. Now you're looking at Joe Harris. Now you're looking at Brent Venables, and you're looking at a new athletic director, and nobody knows exactly who that person is going to be, even as there's a really big and powerful brain trust that's in charge of finding the next guy. All these things go into what Jake Kreul and others are going to be looking at for their futures. Like, now you're not just looking at being developed to go to the NFL anymore. You're looking at possibly generating generational wealth for yourself and for your family based on who's got the best NIL package. I understand that many people don't want to talk about that and that they don't think it's that big a deal. But I'm telling you, if you put together the kind of package that I think OU did for Jake Kreul, you got to give him something to hold on to for the future. You try to incentive laden these things. You try to make these things get bigger as you spend more time with the program. But right now, first things first, make sure that he gets into the program. Make sure that he is ready to play come August next. And the best way to do that is to win football games.